Hey everybody, it's Bray Thunder back after quite a while. I have to apologize for that, but we're back with the new Let's Play of Let's Play Dark Souls, the remaster version for the PS4 specifically. I know I could be playing this on the PC, but I'm more comfortable to a controller. Guys, I have to explain here for a moment that I honestly could not find the motivation needed to beat 12 on a PS4, and I also ended up getting it on Switch. So I kind of ditched the project afterwards because I couldn't really play it on two settings. So we may come back to that at a later time. But for now, I got interested in this series, and I decided why not Let's Play it, since I've been really enjoying this series, even with its questionable difficulty at times. So, yeah, let us get started. And before we go, yeah, you forget it's loud like that. Before we go any further, I will also be stating that I will be doing the full series 1 through 3, and I'll be using this the higher edition standards. So I'll be doing remaster. I'll be doing the re-release of Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin, and then I'll be doing 3, which is the Day 1 edition somehow. But yeah, so besides that, let us begin. So I had to decide for a while on a character, or what my class was going to be. Jesus Christ, I haven't done this in a while. Everyone, this is my actual name, Brian. Please remember, it'll make me happy. I could say I'm female, but more prominence to be a male. Gift-wise, can depend. You can go without a gift, which I would not recommend. There's the Goddess Blessing, which it's okay, but you can do better. Blackfire Bombs, I wouldn't recommend because you can find those later in the game. There's a lot better options, honestly. Twin Humanity, you'll find plenty of humanity in this game. You don't need. Binoculars, you'll find those in the game. I don't remember when, but you find them, so no use. Pendant, absolutely useless. Master Key, I'll explain this in a minute. Tiny Being's Ring gives you some health, but you can find so much better. And Owitch Ring. You do need this for later in the game, but you can apparently find it in the game. I've never done it, but I'll try to this Let's Play, but we'll see what happens. But the one I'm going to be taking is the Master Key. Opens any basic lock. Now, basic lock instance, basically doors that are like side quest things, basically. And if you're a thief for this game, you automatically come with this, so you can pick something else. But I'm not going with thief, so I'm going to end up taking this one. And I skipped class for a moment, but we have quite a bit to pick from. So we got Warrior, which is your standard, typical RPG standards, basically high strength, high dexterity, and can basically utilize any type of weapons if it ain't mage base. Knights, they're typically high in strength, decent in dexterity, but they're very high in health. But I personally, if you're playing this for the first time, I would go with Warrior instead, because at least you're balanced, whereas this you're a little bit higher in one thing and lower on the other. Wanderer, they have the second highest dexterity, and essentially they're how do I put this? They can go slightly heavy, but they're in the middle when it comes to weaponry. But yeah, they're not too bad. Thieves are basically, they are the fastest in the game. They have the highest dexterity, and they are very good at landing critical hits, basically. And if you choose this class, you get the Master Key, as I said before. Bandits, I believe, have the highest strength, and basically they essentially they are the heavy hitters who can also take a lot of damage. They also have something else in mind, which is I'm going to explain in a minute as to why. Hunters, they also have the second highest dexterity, and even though it looks like he's more fitted for like speed combat, these are the guys you're going to go with when you need to use bow and arrows or crossbows, depending on your preference. So they're alright, but I'm more of a get up close and personal kind of guy. sorceress should... Well, there are 3 types of sorcery in this game, or spells. There's basically Black Mage, which is sorcery. The Cleric is technically your White Mage. And then basically, Pyromancy is kind of like spells in their own way, which I'll explain later down the road as to why. But basically, if you want to be a Black Mage, hit your enemies hard with magic, this is the class you want to go with, Sorcerer. Pyromancy is basically in between, so you basically have good strength and you also got good intelligence. That's that. And then Cleric, basically you have good strength and you have high white magic usage. And then finally we have Deprive. Deprive, basically you're basically running naked, no armor, and you get a pretty decent weapon, a weak shield, but your stats are even, as you can see. There's no stat that's uber high, but they're not uber low. So I would say if you're pretty good at RPG standards and you think you can do fine in this game, I would go with this class close. But for this Let's Play, I decided hard on this one. I was gonna go Warrior traditionally, but I thought that might be a bit boring. So I decided I'm actually gonna go with Bandit, because I've never used a Bandit in this game, or at least fully. So, yeah. So we can pick how we look. God, that's so weird. Seeing big and small. Jesus. I'm basically gonna go with a large look. Face-wise, I'm not usually the type to get into this stuff. So I'm probably just gonna go commoner. Hair-wise, I'm trying to remember. Can't even remember what my own hair looks like, people. That's how my life is pathetic. Short. My hair is short. And then usually I like going silver because silver's cool. And basically, if you think you're ready, let us begin. Dark Souls Remaster.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty bolts peeled apart their stone scales. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath, the Scaleless, betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers, and man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side.
So, yeah, that's basically Dark Souls in a nutshell, basically. Four gods rose to challenge the dragons, surprisingly. They win out in the end, and basically they don't do a fine job at keeping the world intact.
Yes, indeed. The dark side brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
That was quick to change fate, so yeah. And thus the game begins. So first off, anything you see with a blue light over a corpse, usually dead, or things you kill, press X, you pick it up. So we get our cell key to get the hell out of here. Orange things, for those of you who have not played Dark Souls, I'll try to make sure I give as much informative as I can. For these things on the floor, at the very beginning at first will basically be messages to help you out throughout the game. But later on, these can basically be messages players in real life can leave behind to either help you out or be essential dicks and just giving you senseless directions. It can go either way, so hopefully we find some good stuff. Thankfully I've played this before, so I know if the player is full of shit or not. But yeah. So basically it works mostly like an RPG would. You walk around with the right analog stick, or the left analog stick, my bad. I'm a little rusty at the moment. The right trigger is for your camera. And then basically your D-pad is for your equipment that you currently have equipped that you can go through. So right is your weaponry, your main weapon. Left can be your secondary weapon or your shields. Down will be items, which we'll get to later when we start getting some. And then up is for magics, which I'm probably not going to show off this gameplay because I'm not a big fan of magic to begin with. But that's just the basics to get down. But yeah. So we have our first enemy. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fight. So this isn't like standard traditional RPGs. I think this is like one of the few unique ones. Instead of the buttons being your attack, the R1 is for light attacks. Just like that. And then basically the R2 is for your heavy attacks. So, yeah. So, ta-da! Pretty simple stuff. It won't be too bad at first. You might feel stiff with it, but eventually you'll get used to it. Hold down the circle button, you'll be able to run. Now, you can see on top of there, you have 3 things up there to worry about. Your red bar, which is your HP. Every time you take a hit, standard stuff, you lose more HP, and you go down all the way, you're dead. And then that green bar is your stamina. Anything you do that involves that action, other than walking, will drain it. So, basically, if you run, it drains it. If you attack, it drains it. Other things is, if you press the directional pads, your movement, and the arm one at the same time, you can do a little kick. Basically, this is only useful if your opponent's guarding with shields and crap like that, and then basically you can attack them fully. And then if you do this with the R2 instead, you do a leaping strike, which can basically do some heavy damage, but it's hard to aim. So, take it as you will. This is the next opponent. Next thing to note is if you press down on the right analog trigger, you will lock onto your opponent. Pretty simple. So basically, you stay looking at him as he stays looking at you. And basically, you're always aiming your attacks towards them, so this can be easy if you're a first-time player. So, there's that to consider. Ladders, very simple. Press X, and you can climb up them. And then basically, that's how it works. Pretty simple. You come on through here. I'm not really going to read the messages at the beginning, because, like I said, basically, they're just tips at the beginning that I'll be saying anyways throughout, so it won't matter at the beginning. If it's your first time playing and you're not really understanding much, I would advise read them. They will be very helpful. So we have this right here, this pile of ashes with bones with a sword sticking out. And this is technically a bonfire. These are very important because these are technically your lifesavers in this game. So I just lit the bonfire, so now I sit down. Bonfires have 3 main actives. 1, they restore your HP, which is the main reason you need these. 2, they act as checkpoints, so if I die at any point now, I will respawn at this bonfire every time until I've hit the next bonfire. And the third thing is any enemies that you kill, like the 3 I killed previously, they are now back. So be wary of that. If you're not looking forward to wanting to fight and you're just trying to get from point A to point B, my advice would just be run. Run as fast as you can. Because otherwise, I would advise just caution when it comes to it. Otherwise, if you do like that, you can find a bonfire that's close to some enemies you can kill easily, and basically you can grind their souls out. That should be the next thing I'll explain in a minute. But before that, doors are the same thing. You just go up to them, press X. Alright, thing to note about this room. A giant is going to come down from the ceiling the moment you go in the middle of the room. Do not fight it unless you're insane and you think you can kill this bastard. I would not advise it. There's 2 doors. You cannot go through that big one over there yet. There's one over there, behind those jars. Run for that door, like I'm about to do. Because it opens. Yeah, it's a chunk fuck. That ended quickly. You're not going to be anywhere near strong enough. No matter what you do, your damage will only be 2, and you're basically going to get killed unless you get stupid lucky. So don't worry about it for now. Come here, light your next bonfire, rest up, so that way if you accidentally die, it will respawn you here. Don't blame yourself if you do die. I will say this right now, if this is going to be your first time, you are going to feel a shnikey amount worse of clunkiness. Like, this game can be scary in your first time. So, yeah. Alright, we got a new enemy. Basically, rangers. Their patterns can be stupid random, so be careful. I think it's worse in later games, but it's not that difficult to just have one. So now I'll show you guys 2 dodging maneuvers. Your first one comes in the form of when you're moving. If you press the circle button when you're moving, it's only when you're walking, you will dodge any opponent's attack. Now he'll run away. So yeah, if you're moving and you press circle, you dodge roll. If you just stand still and press circle, you do a little backward step. Neat, but it's not important. The last thing to note is when you're running, before you stop entirely, you can press circle and while you're in that motion, and you will jump. This is only when you're dashing, and this is before you stop your movement. So remember that. So come here and pick up your next item, and you get a spider shield, which is our first legitimate shield. Now, the main reason this is more special than any shield in this game that you can get at the start of the game is one reason. Oh yeah, you can basically check your weapons, press square once, it basically shows you the stats. So the left tells you the attack type, so basically how strong a weapon is physically, or just all types of magic, what the critical is, so basically you do essentially double the damage with most weapons in this game. Your bonuses, which I'm not 100% sure how it works, but basically the higher one of the stats are with the letter next to it is the more you get from it. And then the AUX effects, which I never knew what that does, basically indicates bleeding, poison, which is the purple drop, the white circle is light damage, and then the dark circle is dark damage. More of this I'll try to explain later as we get to those points, but right now it's not as important. You just need to worry about basically the physical damage. And then to the right is only important really if you're looking at shields, but they all have this. Physical damage of reduction. Physical damage of reduction, basically 100% means I resist all damage as long as you have stamina in that bar. Every time you block an attack, it will take stamina, and if you don't have enough stamina, you're taking a certain amount of damage depending on how much stamina was taken from you, equaling the output. So be very weary of that. Magic, same thing, blocks 30% all magic damage, 72% of fire damage, which is pretty good, 48 of lightning, which is decent but not the best. Stabilizability, basically the higher that is, the less stamina will be taken from you when you are guarding. So it is important to take note of that. That's a decent amount. The require permana, meaning basically how much of what stat you need in order to wield it. So I only needed 10 strength. I'm at 14, so I'm good there. Durability is simple things. Basically how much durability your shield has. And then the weight, basically how much it weighs you down. Weight in this game is basically stuff you have equipped, essentially. I'll show you this in the status. Basically, you have your full stuff. I'll explain the level ups later when I get to leveling up. That's going to be later. To the middle, you have all your stats. Your HP, which is common sense. Stamina, also common sense. And then there's your equip load. Now in Dark Souls 1, I'm going to nick it down for this. The equip load is very bad in this one if you're not careful at all. So basically, everything I have equipped, whether it's a sword, a shield, or armor, it's going to weigh you down to a degree. Depending on how much weight it has determines, basically it's like, this stuff I'm wearing is light armor, this is a decent shield, and this is like 1 weight. So I'm wearing very, very lightweight. So basically, the biggest thing is how slow you move. Oh god. Might as well show this off. Basically, he'll run away again. But basically, yeah, that's blocking attacks. Basically, his damage is reduced, and thanks to 100%, I don't take any physical damage as long as I have stamina. But as I was saying, the higher the weight count is, the slower you go. I believe if you're 25% and higher, you do a decent dodge roll, but it just takes you a little longer to recover. If you're half your weight and above, you will slow down, not tremendously, you'll slow down significantly, and your dodge roll is very sluggish. So it's very easy for you to get hit when you're in that state. So try to keep good armor on, but also try to keep your weight down. I'll explain later how you increase it and stuff. Down is your R weapons, your right weapons, and your left weapons. Basically how much damage you do, but it's not 100% accurate to a degree. Jesus Christ. Alright, I'll chase this guy down before I continue explaining how the statuses work. Go away! We'll pick up our first weapon. Kill this guy normally. Oh yeah. You're basically required at this point to equip your new weapon. So, yeah, for a bandit, you get his battle axe, which is actually a pretty decent weapon to have at the beginning of the game. But you can see his attack style is very different. Instead of swinging left and right, he just swings purely to the left. And it's a little bit more slower than the straight sword, so be a little careful, but it does do good damage. Trust me on that one. But anyways, as I was saying, next up on the bottom is all your defenses. Magic, flame, lightning, all your defenses against, like, slash weapons, striking weapons, which is basically clubs and stuff, and thrust, which is spears. And then your physical defense overall encompasses that. Finally, to the right, to the far right, is all your resistances, to a degree. You got poise, which essentially is how often you can take a hit and not be staggered. But you start really with none because you're not wearing, you have to be wearing essentially heavy armor to gain poise. So you gotta be careful with that one because that's gonna be weight encompasses. But yeah, you see my weight went up because my axe is more heavier. So hopefully, yeah. So he's not doing like a flippy dodge roll. He's basically doing it fast, but to the ground now. So it's a little slower. That's what happens when the weight goes up. Continuing on, you have your bleed resistance, your poison resistance, your curse resistance, and your item discovery. Bleed, you need to watch out for in this game. It's very easy to prevent, but it's very painful when you get it, because basically it takes 75% of your health bar, no matter what. So if you're below 25, just 25 out, you are going to die. And it is not pleasant, trust me. Poison resistance, basically poison is like any RPG in any game really. You're poisoned, you lose HP over time, and then basically there's also the toxic status, which just basically takes more health more quickly. So both are bad, try to prevent it, and you'll be okay. The curse resist, basically getting cursed in this game can be a massive pain in the ass. For starters, it will instant kill you. No matter what, you basically turn to stone, and then when you revive, you lose half your HP, half your HP's cut, and one other bad effect happens that I'll be showing off later, until you revive yourself. So try to prevent that as often as you can. Item discovery, that should be, I guess, basic. Basically, the higher that number is, the higher chance you have of getting items from enemies, which can be useful later on in the game. Atonement slots are basically how many magics you can equip at once. So I have 0, so I can't equip a damn thing until I raise that atonement, but I'm not going to really focus on magic this game, so I don't really care. But for anyone who goes with a magic build, do work on that. Make sure you can at least hold 3 spells in the game. It'll help you out. But otherwise, that's mostly everything in the game. So that's just basically all the stats that you have to worry about throughout the game. So don't worry too much. You really won't have to worry about it too much until like much later in the game when you start fighting various enemies that can do this shit. And the good thing is if you start as a bandit, the poison one you never have to worry about because you have the spider shield, and it basically gives you resistance to poison. Only issue is you have to be guarding. So don't think wearing this is going to prevent poison no matter what. You have to be guarding that shot, and it has to hit the shield. So yeah, so we're going to continue on upwards. This is normally where you'd be killing him, but I killed him early, so why not? You see this door, traverse the white light, it's basically mist. Be careful, sometimes the mist will do that, where you can move on and you can move back if you need to. But at times if you enter that door and the mist doesn't disappear right off the bat, it means you're going to be in for a boss fight. Make sure you are ready to go when that happens. We're going to be coming to get that item later. Don't worry about it right now. You cannot get it by any means unless you glitch this game, which I have no intention of doing because I'm not glitch happy. Be careful from that iron ball. Just drop down, you'll be fine. Come up here. Ah! Ow. That's not nice. That's not nice at all, my friend. So yeah, that thing that keeps popping out of those enemies that you collect, those are souls in this game, or your currency. Basically, you use those to buy items, or you use them to increase your levels, to increase your stats. It's ultimately up to you how you're utilizing them. Just make sure you play smart with what you're doing. And we have our knight friend here. Unfortunately, not looking too good, so let's find out what's going on.
Oh, you. You're no hollow. Thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. I wish to ask something of you. You and I, we're both undead. Hear me out, will you?
Sure, no problem. What is your decision? Basically, at times you'll be asked to listen in and do stuff for other people, so we're going to say yes to them.
Regrettably, I have failed in my mission. But perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family. Thou who art undead art chosen. And thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know. Well, now you know. And I can die with hope in my heart. Oh, one more thing. Here, take this. An Estus flask. An undead favorite.
We gain ourselves our Esca Flash for this game, which I'll explain in a moment what that does.
Oh, and this.
And he gives us one of the main keys we're going to need.
Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now, and thank you.
Aw, poor guy. That sucks. I didn't even get your name. But basically, he'll die, and then later on, when we come back in here, he'll be hollow, so we're going to put him out of his misery at that point. But right now, what the hell is that? Come down here, you can open up this gate. Apparently something got killed up there. Interesting. But, come over here. So he gave us an Esca Flask. So what that does is, that's your main healing item for this game. Not your main. There are other ways to heal, but this is the most important one. Basically, for items, when you have items equipped, basically, you just press the square button, you reload. Very, very simple, but this is very important because those Esca Flasks are going to save your life. Now, when you keep drinking, eventually, you're going to turn like that. Basically, when they're like that, they're done. You can't use them anymore. How do you refill them? Rest the bonfire, bada boom, bada bing, you get your Esca Flask back. So, basically, try not to waste them all, like, at certain situations, unless you're just near a bonfire and you not worry. But yeah, like I said before, enemies respawn, so you will have to fight them over and over, but it's good for soul grinding if you're looking for a quick way to get through it. Or a quick way to get level ups and stuff. So yeah. Okay, I gotta remove this. Okay, so as I just said, if you press the triangle button, you switch between one-handed to two-handed. Two-handed means basically you're going to be blocking with your weapon, so you're going to be taking damage no matter what, but you dish out the pain more harder. Fair warning though, as you can see from the bar of your stamina, it will take more stamina to use two-handed than one-handed because you're dashing out more damage. But it's very effective. But when it comes to shooting enemies, just do that. Now, critical hits are worked like this. If you can get up behind your opponents before they attack, or if you can get behind them before they turn around, you can essentially do a R1 attack, and it will basically do a little animation like that, and you deal salvage-like damage. So it's very difficult, but if you can pull it off most of the time, it will save your buttocks for later. Alright, so the lesson you're supposed to learn here... Oh, it's going to be difficult for me. Okay, this is clearly not going to go in my favor. I'm trying to show off the mechanic they want you to learn here, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. Okay. not able to do it. I'm not good at this. Oh boy. I'm not really worried about it. Basically, the trick that I'm trying to show, what I'm trying to show on the shield, is when you get attacked by when you get attacked by this guy and you can do this, that little animation, if you time it right, you parry your opponents, and then basically you do the same thing to them critical hit wise that you would do from behind, only from the front. But be warned, once you go through this light, you are going to be fighting that demon again. This is another new mechanic. When you are above your opponent, like big guys like this, and you... Oh god. I didn't know he could do that. That was hard for me. But yeah, if you fall into an opponent and you time it right, you can do a plunge. So now we have to go up against the Asylum Demon. This guy's not too hard, honestly. You don't have much range, but otherwise just keep your eye on him, dodge his attacks. You really shouldn't be too much of a threat, just stay behind it. Don't be like me. If he does get an attack off, get out of the way. There you go. First boss down. Always get your nice little victory achieved. You get the big pilgrim key. This is the main thing you're going to be getting in this game. That item, humanity. I will explain in a moment what it does. But let's get a move on. Oh, and you get 2,000 souls from this, which is like a crap ton. Opening up the door. We're going to head up north real quick. And now we got another cutscene coming up, so I'm going to shut my mouth now.
Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen. To leave the undead asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords. Lordran.
To the Firelink Shrine in Lordran. This is basically the main hub for this game, I guess you could say. You'll be spending a lot of time in this place, trust me, folks. But yeah. So let us use the humanity we just earned in that battle. So you can see that counter on top there. That's basically how many humanity you have stored away in your counter. Humanity does two things. First, it increases your item discovery. That's good. But, to make that effective, as far as I know, now bonfires have 3 new options. Kindling, reverse hollowing, and leveling up. You can't kindle your bonfire until you reverse hollow. What does this do? Basically, you can see from my character, now I'm human again. Basically, or I gain my humanity. So, basically, make sure you try to stay human, because now, I don't have humanity now, but if I wanted to, I can't do this bonfire, but you can now level up all bonfires in this game, except this one, to the next level. Leveling up a bonfire basically lets me gain more Escaflask when I rest at it, because now I've got 10, and I get 10 every time I rest at this one specifically. And finally, we have the level up option, which now we can use souls to level up our character. So what you level up is ultimately up to you. You have a bunch of stats to choose from. So vitality, basically it raises your HP, and all stats you increase always increases your defenses. So you'll never have to worry about what will raise what. But Vitality's for HP. Atonement is every time you level this up to a certain amount, I believe 10, 15, 20, so on and so forth, will upgrade you to an additional atonement. So an additional spell you can use. Endurance is very important. It increases both your equip load and your stamina. You will need to focus on this throughout the game if you're looking to wear heavy ass armor. If not, you'll still need it for stamina, but otherwise you should be fine. Strength should be standard. It raises your melee attack and will increase your proficiency in strength type weapons like great swords, axes, and all that. Dexterity is the same thing, except it's more for weapons like daggers, scimitars, falchions, and bows, and crossbows. Resilience, basically this is your main defense boost, and it raises your poison resistance. I really wouldn't focus on this until way late in the game, because honestly, you'll just find good armor anyways in this game, so just focus on the other stats because they'll raise your defenses anyways. Next up we have Intelligence. This is basically increases your proficiency in sorcery, so you do more damage, and increases your ability to be able to equip higher level spells. And then the same with Faith, except it does it for white magic, or miracles as they're called in this game. So that's the stats. So for the start of this, I'm going to raise my strength, my endurance, and I'm going to raise my health, all by one. Every time you increase one stat, as you can see by the required souls, it is going to go up higher and higher, and it will get very expensive later on, unless you're doing a shit ton of grinding. So make sure you know what you're raising before you even start that shit. So that way you know ahead of time what you want to need. So that's leveling up, and basically that's that. So, basic stuff, not too bad. Otherwise, I think we're gonna call it here for a night. So, thank you guys so much for watching my Let's Play. Hopefully, this goes smoothly. And again, I deeply apologize for taking so long to get to this. I wanted to get to this sooner, but I got distracted by some other stuff. But we're finally here, and I hope this hopefully really entertains you guys big time. So, this is Bray Thunder, signing off. You guys have yourselves a fantastic night. We'll see you again in the next part of Dark Souls Remaster. Adios, señoritas.